tough stuff coming out from Elevate. They've improved, but they definitely had to go against an interesting pick. As we head into game 2, we'll see if picks and bans change or if we're going to see something weird in the jungle one more time from Obey. Keeping an eye on that, Cabrakan must be banned.
Cabrakan, I mean, it's kind of odd at this point in time considering they haven't seen it, but at the same time, Elevate are definitely taking it away because they know that it's a concern. So it's still a smart decision by them. And the Terra, that is a ban that I am so glad to see right now.
Yes.
EmilZy, just like the silent sleeper killer on that team last game, with the sustain coming through, every single time it looked like Obey were about to be in a bad situation, you just see their health immediately rise back up again.
It's interesting because EmilZy does this frequently where a character that isn't, it's not even a sleeper pick. It's just not used throughout the course of the rest of the league. And then EmilZy plays it. He does fantastically with it. And then someone else tries it, and they're just not as strong. EmilZy, what's his secret finding these sort of like lower level supports to make work?
I think EmilZy is just one of those players who's really pensive about everything that he does. He likes to plan things out, work things out in jungle practice a lot, and really go behind the scenes with his teammates to try things out. If he thinks that it could be a potential pick, then he's down to go ahead and play around with it for a while.
Ullr and Fafnir picked up a 4 Obey, so we're going to see the repeat of the Ullr. We'll see if he winds up in the mid lane like last time around. Zeus, Hun, Batz, and Anhur. I like the fact that Elevate are sticking with the Zeus. They identified, they made the right identification that said, look, the Zeus wasn't the issue last game. She just wasn't able to really launch. Hun, Batz should also help very much so against Obey's sort of composition. And we're going to go back to the Habois.
Yeah, we are going to see this Habois again, but it might not necessarily be a Habois in the jungle. I know this might sound weird, but No Numbers is not someone who's foreign to playing these mages in the solo lane. Unlikely, but possible.
You stole my point. I was just going to say, Habois can also wind up in the solo. No Numbers can play him really well. It's also, I like the fact that we see it taken away across the way, so it should be interesting because Obey Alliance, looking at maniaKK, also plays him in that solo. So you got to be careful all across the board. Everybody can generally play. PrettyPriMe is not a Habois player, I would say. But with the Hercules locked in, I think we're going to see it in the jungle one more time.
I'm really liking the bots Bacchus composition coming out from Elevate, though. I think it'll provide a lot more peel potential for nulisa, should that be a Habois again trying to engage. And the Odin, I know you're thinking about that Odin immediately.
Perfect, just the perfect pick. Habois really can't get out of the Odin ring whatsoever. And there are other characters, as Jing is locked in for Ataraxia, there are other characters that can deal with the Odin ring. Habois can't. He's made of paper. This is one of the least tanky characters in the game. His base stats are low. He doesn't have a lot of options to sort of sustain and just deal with the issue. Like we saw, Beads and Blink are probably going to be his go-to relics, so you can't buy the Aegis to just buy yourself some time. This is a great draft from Elevate to really counteract CaptainTwig here on the jungle Habois. Let's get into game, see if Obey Alliance take the 2-0 or if Elevate are going to be able to bounce back and find the victory. Both solo laners, like I said, can play this. maniaKK and No Numbers both have a little pocket Habois, which is interesting.
For sure.
Yeah. nulisa nor PrettyPriMe have a Habois to my knowledge. Maybe they do secretly, but I don't think of a Habois as their character. It's just very interesting that in our both teams, both solo laners, one jungler. I don't know about both junglers. Both solo laners.
I think Faeles could pull it off, honestly. I really do think that Faeles can pull it off.
Well, CaptainTwig is just getting jumped on. That'll be first blood. Nulisa's having none of that nonsense. You're going to poke me out in game 1? I'm going to murder you in game 2. That's what you get.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh, that's what you get.
He was not ready for that one at all. He's just he's trying to have a good time on that Habois. He's like, what's up, guys? I'm here again. And then he wasn't.
Yeah, no, that was Elevate. You know, I gave Cyclone a lot of credit off air. I tweeted about it. I gave Cyclone a lot of credit for being able to find their victory against energy against the tendencies of the team. It's one thing to just push your buttons a lot better than the opposition, but it's another thing to punish your opponent for doing what they do. Energy like to split push when there's a push going on, and they got beat for it. Here, Elevate beat Obey doing what they do. Obey took the same pressure that they had in the mid lane in game number 1, and Elevate said, look, why don't we just put 4 players in the mid lane, because we know Twiggy's going to be there, and he's going to get murdered. And that's exactly what they did. Got to tip your hat to a team that thinks like that.
And this time around, too, Elevate is actually going to be the one that invaded onto Obey's speed. Yeah. They didn't get to secure the blue buff, but at the same time, taking away that speed from Habois early on is going to be pretty annoying for him to try and deal with.
Not only is he
actually, it looks like they just might have taken the creeps.
Yeah. Didn't confirm it. CaptainTwig does get his speed buff, able to zoom on out there. Like you said, though, bring up that point. That is a very important point. Pre-boots, CaptainTwig is moving. I mean, you saw him in the mid lane. This Havois just moves at -5 miles an hour. He's walking backwards for the most part. Beep, beep. So really troublesome environment for the Havois to really deal with. Right now, he's relatively even. As Batz hits level 4, so about half a level separating these two players. You can see the net worth, Havois sitting about the middle. So elevate this time around. I think they're going to focus a little bit more on what Twig's doing.
I'm really excited as well to see how this Jing plays out for Obey. Ataraxia is one of those guys who he likes taking the hunter that nobody likes to play,
absolutely,
and then making it look good. And he's probably been working on this one for a while, probably been waiting for the right moment to pull it out and just be able to say, look, Jing is definitely still viable. But I like the pick into the Bacchus. I mean, her dash is still effective, just lost the Faeles effect. But I'm just not certain in which direction he's going to go for. I'd have to assume he's going to be picking up the Faeles at some point in time.
Sure.
But I really just want to see how it pans out for him.
I think Jing is still a very good character. No number's going to get pushed around here. And I was actually just going to talk about this matchup. CaptainTwig waiting for help. Can't find the damage just yet. maniaKK came onto the scene playing characters like Chang'e and Aphrodite, right? And he realized very quickly, back when he was on SK Gaming, then turning into Fnatic later on, that this wasn't going to work long-term. The meta shifted in a different direction. He wasn't able to stick with that. So he had to switch to warriors. Vamana and Hercules were the first two characters to really come out. And Hercules has been maniaK's go-to god. Even when metas don't love Hercules, it's been one of his go-to characters. And as soon as it got locked in for Obey, I knew across the way that Elevate were going to have some issues.
Yeah, no, maniaKK is definitely a really strong player. And the big thing, too, about maniaKK is that his return to the SPL, you know, he's somebody who's not unfamiliar to. He's been playing the game still, even after leaving the pro scene. But he's just so consistent. I haven't seen a bad performance from maniaKK yet. And it's not even when his team is just dominating, but even during these stale points of the game, you just see maniaKK, and he always seems to have the control and pressure that you'd really want out of your solo laner.
And that's the thing there, Taco, is that I still maintain that I think that stepping away from the competitive scene, even if you're playing high-level ranked, is a very big culture shock, if not anything else. You're coming back into the Smite Pro scene after missing 2 splits. That's almost a full year. It's definitely a big change of pace as he gets locked there in the cage. Faeles is here as well, going to slow him down. Can't heal, finds a driving strike, trying to deal with the damage, just barely going to get out of there. Still alive and almost gets the turnaround kill. maniaKK going to head back to base. CaptainTwig and PrettyPriMe showing up. There's the knock-up and strong max range water spout coming out from Twig. Got to keep in mind Dardez is behind, as well as nulisa. maniaKK is back with the teleport. Ultimate from Twig. Not going to be enough damage. Brings Dardez down to about 60. Jumping forward on the mid lane mage is going to be EmilZy. Knock up, push down. See you later. nulisa is the first mark for Obey. It's 1-1 as we hit 5 minutes.
I want to say that was on purpose by CaptainTwig, but I don't know if you noticed, the Zeus Chain Lightning actually didn't get to proc off of Twig because of his ultimate going through, and so that makes him damage immune, which means that he's not going to be able to take it, and that actually saved Obey, in my opinion, from getting a massive Chain Lightning spew, because I think had that actually landed, it would have been a complete 180 turn for Elevate, and they would have secured probably a triple kill there.
So what's the percentage that you think it was planned by Twiggy?
I'd have to give it like less than 10.
There's a 7% chance that he planned that one?
He was trying to escape, but it looked awesome because of the fact that he got away from it.
Love that play right there coming out from Obey, just the response. And yeah, you know, talking about maniaKK, I think there is a big sort of setback by leaving the scene for that long. maniaKK is just the outlier that has looked good from game 1 coming back. You know, we've seen a number of players sort of take separations and then come back to the league, like Game Hunter.
And it's not the same.
Yeah, just very different. maniaKK looks like the day he left Fnatic. And it's just, that's just him. It's not the fact that, well, he's been playing Smite, so everything's the same. It's just, well, this one player could keep up. Good for that one guy.
That's just natural talent shining through there at the same time as well. I mean, it's almost like riding a bicycle. It just seems like he never really forgot how to play the game. And that's just so crucial when you're trying to, provide huge momentum swings for your team all the time from that solo lane.
Yeah, especially that play that we just saw, able to just hang on, throw the boulder. This time, not so safe. Ultimate coming out of the monkey. He finds a driving strike, but that's likely to be it, as Faeles finds the basic attack, killing out the solo lane. Yeah, when you caught up that far away, before he could sort of hide on the tower, and that's why we didn't see the full commit coming out from the jungle and the solo lane on Elevate, but up there, yeah, you're toast.
Not to mention the RNG that Faeles just pulled out there. A little bit of wizardry on his end, considering double crits back-to-back. I don't know about you, but every time I pick on bots and I use an ability to look for the crit percentage, it never happens.
Yeah,
ever.
It's one of those things where you got to roll the dice. We talk about Pon having that Pon luck. You want to go back to the Smite, right? The old school jokes. We always talk about Pon having that Pon luck. Faeles has that Faeles crit chance. It's just a couple of stats higher than most other players.
Just a little bit of sus actions on the side of Faeles there coming out.
Couple of nudges that shouldn't have been there. But in any event, Ataraxia in this dual lane still working out. The Jing doesn't seem to have been showing any issues whatsoever. Dardez shows up, gets a level, but EmilZy also flirting here. Uses the stun to save him for the moment, but should be safe.
No, I can't see them really trying to engage onto EmilZy. It's just a little slap war between supports, if anything. Dardez loves trolling people in that regard when he gets to just go and spam a little ability for a stun. But yeah, you can tell it's actually really interesting that the Jing is doing so evenly with the Anhur, because Anhur is so strong early on. Could have been a little bit of danger, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and jump away to freedom.
Big damage onto the Zeus, and because of that right away, you see the jump over the wall from Dardez. And the Faeles to teleport. Wonderful play. Will he get punished? Yes, he does. Faeles finds to teleport with the monkey at the last second that you can possibly go for it, having faith in that crit percentage.
He did have faith, as well as he knew that his ultimate was up, and he just saw Prime burn his beads there. So for him to go ahead and utilize that combo, very strong. But Maniac, what is it about Hercules lately and all these players hitting these boulders over the walls?
It's just, like I said, I mean, that's something that Maniac's been doing for a while, but the over the wall shot, I mean, that's Hercules is fun. I'm glad he's back in the meta. He's a lot of fun to be watching. And it's very interesting to take a look at him return, whereas Maniac's just sitting here like, I've been playing this character forever. What are you talking about?
It's like he's trying to make his own. All these Hercules trying to make montages with top 5 plays or something. End up like Scary D out there.
That's it. They're all. You know what they are? They're trying to make Marvel's find a new character. And this is going to be the new character. Marvel said he's a Neath main now, and he's going to be making some Neath montages. Ain't nobody want to see a Neath ult montage. They want to see some Hercules ult montages.
And speaking of montages, Jermain almost got montage himself right there at the Gold Fury, but able to back away, use his beads effectively. But unfortunately, since that's down, we could see Obey start looking for a grouping onto that Gold Fury objective, especially since they were the ones who secured the Oracle, so they automatically get that free ward. So free vision equals free engage for the most part.
Right side, no number is going to be the one that's engaged on. Driving strike not going to be used by Maniac just yet, so just a little flip. Basically, everything's going to be it's very precocious for Maniac to really take that flip because of the fact that no numbers will probably just win the trade if he drops the ring.
Most likely. I mean, that's just kind of the early laning advantage you'd expect an Odin to have against a Hercules. Where we're really going to see either of those two players shine will be in these mid to late game team fights, because if no numbers gets off the perfect Odin ring, Obey is toast.
Yeah.
But if he messes that up, or if he uses it too early or too late, Obey's just going to wreak havoc onto Elevate's backline, and once the backline's taken out, I mean, there's just no one really left to deal a whole lot of damage onto Obey to try and punish.
Jermain waiting for Ataraxia, finds the Impale. Cute little play there coming out from Elevate's Hunter. Not going to be able to finish it off, but PrettyPriMe gets finished off by nulisa. Dardez takes out Twig as well, as the fight from the middle lane is going to be a big deal, and that'll open up the window for the Gold Fury. Here comes No Numbers jumping. I love that play. He just jumps on the Gold Fury and then looks for the zone right away. Successful as well. Elevate pick up the first Gold Fury. EmilZy forced to jump in the other direction. Big kick onto No Numbers. Likely would have separated those two from safety, but instead gets kicked out of the way. maniaKK with a big play right there, and that is going to elevate into a situation where they don't find any more kills.
Yeah, really big time where Obey has to be super careful here in this mid lane. Both of them poked out to under 30%. You saw Ataraxia off to the side, forced to use his ultimate to get away from nulisa and Jermain. And all around, really strong team fight coming out from the side of Elevate. We saw in the mid lane where Dardez was able to use his ultimate along with nulisa and Faeles. And so that CC combination plus the Zeus damage just automatically went ahead, picked up those 2 easy kills. And then they just got the Gold Fury right away off of it.
Yeah, Elevate with a fantastic play. Again, got to give the shout out to No Numbers. No Numbers is the guy that we saw him last year in the Combine. The Combine means something different this year, but last year we had a situation where a bunch of players were able to come out and sort of just show off their stuff, and different teams and players and fans got to sort of watch them do their thing. No Numbers, he played over there, got a lot of credit, and played on some other Challenger Cup teams. Now in the Smite Pro League, you could really see how he just improved and watched along, and it's really exciting to see him, finally on a starting roster of a team that I think last week you asked me, I say Elevate is probably not, they're not going to have the same legs as some of the other low-end teams, but looking at this roster, Taco, I actually have a lot of faith in this team to steadily improve throughout the course of the year.
No, this team definitely has a ton of growth potential, and you can already tell that there's a lot of synergy coming through for this team, which is crucial because that's exactly what you want from the get-go. You don't necessarily need the strongest mechanics if your synergy is there, because synergy can carry you a really long way.
I mean, that was the entire story of a team like Titan. I don't think, that was the Ataraxia, PrettyPriMe. That's where their core first came from. They hit number 2 at Worlds. Obey sneak out the Portal Demon. CaptainTwig a big part of that one. maniaKK shows up to zone. He's going to get stunned out by Dardez. Knocked up. nulisa provides some damage. There's the ring. Here comes Faeles. maniaKK gets healed to full and brought right back down. Still alive for the moment. And Faeles finds the long-range monkey bounce. The jungler out of nowhere. Fantastic stuff, but he falls down to the support, and nulisa says, all right, and the rest of the team help her out to take out the jungle. It winds up being a 2-1. Faeles dropping down for the support, the solo and the jungle. I think that was well played by Elevate.
It could be a fickle situation here, though. You see PrettyPriMe trying to engage, and he's going to have to back off, but nulisa's in trouble herself, and going ahead and popping the ultimate. Jermain's got her back, though. Easy, secure, onto EmilZy.
There's the detonate. Going to devastate EmilZy for the moment, and Jermain providing help there as well, just ulting through the thunderstorm, finding that kill, jump, impale, basically PrettyPriMe is dead. Ooh, those are the types of plays that have put Jermain on the map, and that's why he continues to be strong, just having no fear jumping on in.
Yeah, PrettyPriMe pulling a little bit of a Frezzy impersonation, not really paying attention to what's going on behind him, and he got punished for it 100%.
That right there, you say the Frezzy, that's the Zapman one more wave situation. That's just, man, all right, we got the Portal Demon, we lost a team fight, I'm going to go home, but there's a wave here. Right now, Jermain might fall into that himself. He wants to get the tower, but there's a wave here. Ataraxia gets him into trouble. Big damage out of CaptainTwig onto Dardez, who might fall down. EmilZy looking for the basics, but it's Ataraxia that comes through, while Jermain and nulisa pick up 2 more kills for themselves. 5-1-4 for the mid lane, and 2-0-2 for the Hunter. Just wonderful performance here from Elevate.
And they're going ahead and chasing down maniaKK. He doesn't even have the heal available. It's just over.
Yeah, I mean that's the effect that Odin has on the Hercules. Odin is in my opinion, Odin is a bad character, full stop. But that ring by itself can completely change the way not just a team fight, but a game goes.
No Numbers is executing this play perfectly.
Yeah.
Every single time he is caging, he is guaranteeing that he's got at least 2 teammates surrounding him to go ahead and get off the damage that they need to in order to secure those kills. And whoever's trapped in that ring, they want to go down immediately, because we saw it there. They went ahead, they sieged the T1, they sieged the T2. There's just not, they can take whatever they want if they just keep on capitalizing off of these rings.
Exactly. To go deeper in what I said about the Odin, So EmilZy's able to get nulisa down to half HP with some help from the teammates. Nice Sanctuary to save her for the moment. Excuse me, Aegis. Big jump forward from EmilZy, forces out the beads from Jermain. It's very easy to aggress onto an Odin and get him to drop the ring, and then all he has is this jump and kind of Gungir's Might.
Somewhat of a slow.
Yeah, Gungir's Might is not a good slow, right? He's just such a one-dimensional character that it's easy to put him in a bad situation. But he keeps doing this, the great situations. Drops down the ring, takes the enemy off of the Gold Fury. CaptainTwig picks up the kill onto nulisa so far. We're going to see the back end of the solo lane. Jermain is forced back the hard way as PrettyPriMe and maniaKK pick up 2 kills. Not a good spot for Elevate. I like to play it in no numbers. I feel like no numbers are sitting here saying, I just wanted to go in and drop the ring. There was no reason for y'all to follow up.
I think he just got a little bit too anxious with that ring there, because normally when he's been dropping his Odin ultimate, it's only been with 2, maybe 3 members of Obey grouped together.
Right.
But blinking and engaging and trying to Odin ring on top of 5 people that are more than happy to DPS you. I mean, we saw immediately he was pushed down to like 10% HP. Had to
he
jump
got
away.
out of there. I think that was the...
But the baits.
Solo laners have this one-man army type mentality, and you know it. You are well aware. And I feel like no numbers, his whole idea was, I blink in, I drop the ring, I jump and run away like a little dog. And the rest of the team were like, oh, he blinked in and dropped a ring. It's our turn to fight. That was a very poor team fight for Elevate. And from here, that looks like a communication issue more than anything else. Of course, we're not in the comms, so we can't tell. But either way, Elevate, who had a great lead. Let's take a look at the graphs real quick. Elevate were devastating Obey on the other side, and they were just able to make their lead rise up. And that play right there, they're still ahead by about 2K, Taco, but that play was a really big swing for Obey, cutting the previous lead. You can see it was over 3,000 gold, almost 4K, and it was cut down to just a hair above 1,000. So a very big play coming out from Obey there.
Strong capitalization, strong punishment on the side of Obey as well. And like you said, it probably was a bit of a miscommunication. You see your solo laner go in, you see him cage 5 people, so you think we have to fight off of this, but then nobody realizes just how much damage that Havwa is still dealing even from within that cage. And it was all that they really needed. And I mean, we see CaptainTwig here again, just trying to put some more pressure onto no numbers.
And here's the build adjustment. The Bancroft second item instead of third, or instead of fourth, excuse me, and then the follow-up shard, just pure damage. No helmet of protections, none of this. I'm Habwa, and I'm here to hurt you. And that's the thing. We haven't seen him. He's 2 forward 4, but a lot of that damage has been assist damage. He's helped his teammates. We haven't really seen Elevate just get Heboed, and that has sort of helped him stay quiet.
And speaking of damage and builds, take a look at Ataraxia, as there's something we haven't seen in a hot minute. The Rage into the Faeles, into what's probably going to be a Wind Demon, I would have to assume. But Crit's the name of the game. This is definitely classic Ataraxia coming through here, though, with the theory crafting.
So we see the second item Rage, which has changed. It's not what it used to be. Now it's sort of a mid-team fight snowball item, right? So a very interesting item coming out from Ataraxia here. Second item, though, here's the thing. Crit works off of assistance of power, and with only boots, it's only 40 power. You don't have a lot of power behind it. So you might be increasing your crit chance, but the crit isn't going to hurt for that much. I'm not sold on this build just yet.
I would have to assume his mindset behind it is because of the fact that he's got a Havwa and an Ullr who opted for the Transcendence build that we're really accustomed to seeing at this point in time. Those two alone are dealing a ton of damage, so I think that his idea and mindset is to really just try and be as much of a nuisance as possible, and it looks like he opted for the Poison Star instead. So slows and crits, and whether or not it's hitting for as much as you would ideally want it to, at the same time, he's still going to be a bit of a problem to deal with, because you are going to be getting poked, and it does eventually stack up once you factor in the other teammate damage.
So here's the deal. Explosive Bolt plus the Rage puts you in a situation where you're almost guaranteed to find those crits. You follow up with the Poison Star, and you're really looking to be more of a facilitator. You're looking for those slows. The crits are almost guaranteed at that point. I think that's at least the thought process. I don't know if it's going to be I don't know if it's going to be as strong as Ataraxia hopes it's going to be, but I think that's the thought process.
Yeah, I mean, Ataraxia is definitely somebody who's always cared a lot
Yeah.
more about being a utility hunter, more so than
Yeah.
I'm going to stand out shine on my own kind of hunter. I mean, we've seen that out of Ataraxia at the same time. Don't get me wrong. He is definitely a very strong hunter, and he's pretty aggressive as well in his newfound gameplay, where he's been a lot less, I'm going to sit back, and more so, I'm going to take up the boxing match and try to Zapman you. But it's really interesting to see, because I think where I was first impressed by his gameplay was when he pulled out the Chiron, and not because of the build that he opted for, but because he was probably one of the first people I ever saw actually utilize Chiron's cleanse onto his teammates. And that was all that he was looking for nonstop into team fights. He wasn't looking for poke. He wasn't looking for clear. He just wanted to cleanse his teammates every single time it was an opportunity to do so.
Yeah, he really likes playing that sort of the utility hunter, like you said. So I think this build is sort of looking in that direction at the very least. Will he be able to help out the team? That's a different story. I like the idea, though. It's certainly going to be a lot of damage out of the mid and the jungle, so we'll see if that's enough to really carry them on. maniaKK is doing well this time around, but not as well as the Odin player. No numbers certainly impacting this game very much so.
Yeah, No Numbers has had a very strong impact, but at the same time, like we saw, if he keeps having those kind of awkward engagements that baits his team into their death, we could very easily see the tides turning for Elevate and actually going into Obey's favor. I mean, like you were saying, you see the solo laners all the time with that solo laner mentality, and they're just like, I'm gonna go in and be big, and then I'm gonna wonder where the rest of my team is. Oh wait, they're all dead. So that's kind of just like one of those classic solo lane unfortunate circumstances that can happen every now and again. No Numbers has done a really great job at effectively avoiding that happening for the most part, but at the same time, he does still need to be careful. And I think that if anything, that Gold Fury engagement brought him back to reality where, hey, I can't be as reckless with this as I want it to be.
Yeah, it's going to be the reality check, probably the best term for it. Elevate right here if you're just joining us. Fantastic lead earlier on in the game. Obey able to shorten it up with a Gold Fury that they were able to really pull out of nowhere. 12-7 read the kills. Elevate last time around lost really heavily, almost to a single play out of the jungle Habwa. Obey going to repeat their choice here, but the change in picks and bans almost by itself. The No Numbers Odin, I think, Faeles switching it up also has a lot to do with it, but almost by itself, this Odin has drastically changed the game.
I absolutely have loved the Odin and the botch change coming through. I think Faeles is doing a lot more combining his ultimate with the Odin ultimate, because anytime they burn their actives or to try and escape, you just see Faeles immediately following up with this blink. And when you have two characters with such strong CC and like impacting teamfight factors that can blink into the fight at any point in time, that's really what you want to be on the lookout for. And I think that's a large portion of why Obey has had to play this game so on edge the entire time. Because if anybody's caught out of position or out of line, I mean, we've seen Faeles' RNG already so far today. The man's not even opting to build crit because of it. And it's just... that's not really the reason why he's not building crit. I mean, it's a good build. Like, that's a standard build. It's
he's just going for the power.
I had to clarify that because somebody's going to go nuts in Twitch chat about it.
Oh, absolutely. That's part of the game. That's part of the gimmick. Right here, maniaKK has the Phantom clearly for the knockups. Just kidding. It's about the Odin rings. Gold Fury just snuck out by Elevate, and that's a big boy play right there. That is a big play coming out from Elevate. We usually see the veteran teams say, we have just enough map awareness, just enough vision to say, all right, there's two players in the mid lane. We have enough damage at 22 minutes that we can sort of sneak this. They don't even use nulisa's ultimate.
They didn't need to.
Which is the most surprising.
Yeah, they honestly did not need to use that ultimate there. And well played to them to go ahead and recognize that Obey wasn't in position to try and defend that, because they secured it super fast, and it establishes that goal lead that they had once again.
Dardez to the back line, bounces on CaptainTwig. Big play right there, and he's able to take him out with help from the assistants. Dardez with the first kill. maniaKK on the side looking for the flank, pushes his enemy into the base. And Ulysses going to get flipped one more time. Sanctuary saves her out once more. Drops the ultimate. So does Dardez. So does the Hunbats. And PrettyPriMe is the one able to shoot over the wall, taking out nulisa. Huge plays coming out from Obey. Pretty much maniac, just saying, all right, guys, I'll do it. And then fantastic mechanics.
Just no escape at all for that Zeus. I mean, right when she thought she was going to get out, you just see maniac with the flip. And then a second time around, you see Faeles trying to play the hero, but it still wasn't enough.
Yeah.
PrettyPriMe's accuracy with that Ullr 3, that's the last thing you want to see happen. And that I feel like that's always one of the worst ways to die, because you're so close to getting out, and you know that it's right there. You can see the light, and then immediately it's just all over.
And then you see a different light altogether, right? All of a sudden it's just black and white, and you're just sitting there, oh no. How did I? And then you realize it was just Ullr. Just Ullr. PrettyPriMe, one of the players in the Pro League. Jermain sticking to the Portal Demon. Figured he'd back off, but not going to be the case. Here comes the counter initiation from the Bacchus Dardez. Portal Demon finally gets leashed as maniaK forcibly pushes players off. They're still, Elevate going to still stick to it.
Yeah, no, Jermain, you can tell that he wants this. They're going to commit, and that's all they needed. That on-her damage that's coming through strong, and right now maniaK looks like he's about to get punished as well.
Walks out using the Phantom, but you can't get away from the detonate. Nulisa on the left side, Faeles on the right side, and that's why they stuck to the portal so hard. Nulisa could come through. Oh, what a hot play.
That's all that they needed. Faeles had his opportunity. They split up that Habwa from the rest of his team, and a Habwa on his own, doesn't matter how much damage you're dealing, you are still vulnerable, and you're still gonna die.
And the Bacchus pick as well, big choice coming out from Elevate that we didn't mention. The fact that Habwa does his work by way of knockup, so does Dardez.
Did you see that peel? And then she lives, and they get fire.
Dardez.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Dardez has been playing at this level. So I said before, we were talking about the dual lane as a whole. Dardez has been playing at this level, as No Numbers puts number 18 on the board. Elevate can now legally buy lottery cards, at least in the United States. When it comes down to it, Jermain and Dardez have been laning together, and we talked about how well they were doing as a unit. Dardez has been playing at this level a little bit longer than Jermain, in my eyes. He's just always been consistently, he's one of those support players that he's not afraid to be aggressive, but unlike most of our aggressive support players, he is always looking for the peel as well.
No, I think that Dardez is definitely one of the best supports when it comes to being very conscious of his teammates' positioning and ensuring that they're safe at all points in time. He does whatever he can the majority of the time to try and keep his team alive, because he knows if my team's alive, that means I'm probably going to be alive, and I want to be alive, so let's get in there. So I think that it's just great gameplay by him all around, and I would honestly make a comparison of Dardez and Jermain to like that early stage of Bara and Jeff.
Okay.
I would honestly have to compare it like to that early on, because like the friendship, like if you see these guys not just in the competitive environment but just in like a ranked or like a casual environment even, it really reminds me of Bara and Jeff, because there's so much synergy coming in between those two, and at this point in time I really couldn't imagine a team with like one of them and not the other.
Lay Jeff, lay Bara, is that what we're gonna call them? These guys, both of them out of France, Dardez and Jermain. Like I said, the original version of this squad, Tins over there and Moga, who just left the squad, was 4 out of 5. And then there was Faeles, but 4 out of 5 French players, and slowly we see Nulisa out of the Nordic regions and Faeles out of the UK. So certainly a little different situation there, but they stick together, and that. Having that uniqueness or that togetherness, synergy is a word almost overused at this point when we talk about SPL play, despite how important it is. But that's the next level. It's that Trixtank Cuvo Fred, like we have to play together at this point, and you got to respect that.
No, it's tons of respect coming out, especially for those players that stick it out and learn to progress together. And you can see Elevate here sticking together as they're looking to siege down this middle Phoenix.
And here it goes, pretty easy. I mean, they're up 12,000 gold above Obey. This is Very interesting. Jermain picks up a kill very easily in the mid lane. CaptainTwig falls down. Not the same impact that the Jungle Habois had earlier on as the tier 3 tower, I guess. The Phoenix falls down 19-8. And you know, I said on Twitter, not jokingly, I said that these roster changes might have been the best move Elevate made since joining the league initially. And I think this game is proof.
Respect entirely. Dardez was clenching a little bit there, and you can see nulisa, she might not be able to get out of this situation.
That might be trouble. Her beads are down. Raxia picks up the kill, but Jermain gets the kill off of the up-down from no numbers. Finds another one onto EmilZy. Still not done yet. Backline jumping fails. Damage onto Ataraxia. He's saved by maniaKK, but he gets the kill anyway. Dardez follows up on PrettyPriMe, and with everybody down for the count, that's going to be the kill onto the Phoenix as I step on my own microphone. And Obey, they're looking up, and Elevate looking down on their opposition. 77,000 gold to 62 as Elevate win game number 2, 23-9.
Very convincing win from Elevate. There was that moment, you know, at that gold for your engagement where the numbers slipped up for a second, where, you know, we thought for a second Obey might have made the comeback potential, but draft was just too strong. Elevate did an excellent job, and they found the split.
Pleasure, absolute pleasure to watch Elevate play. Not just in game number 2 where they won, but game number 1 where they put up a little bit of a fight despite the fact that Obey comes out on top. Love seeing everything here. We got the Jungle Habois, we got maniaKK and the Hercules, we got an Elevate win. I loved everything I saw. Hindu, how'd you feel?
Well done, well done, well done. One thing I do feel is that it's not free FP day today over in Europe, that's for sure. Splits for days or unexpected results more often than not. Let's take you back to game 1 though. We just saw the result in game 2 there where Elevate managed to get the split, but back in game 1, Obey got off to a great start, and CaptainTwig, yes, that is a jungle Hebo, and yes, that is a juggle against a Hercules to stop him from healing. And he continued this on through the day. Hebo getting played in the Pro League, obviously with a terror alongside him as well. But CaptainTwig loves his Hebo. He has loved to bring it out in the mid lane before in the past, and also in his Joust days as well. But right now, really showing that it is viable with the right sort of composition here, setting himself up for multiple kills in this game. As you head over to the post-game stats as well, you can clearly see how that game went for Obey from pretty much start to finish. Obey controlled from the outset and continued to do so. Elevate really couldn't find footing in that very first set of the day. So that first game between those two clearly went the way of Obey in destructive fashion. Game 2, however, a bit of a different story here as we look towards that one. Hebo, yeah, he was around again potentially, but it looked like Elevate seemed to have the answer with nulisa picking up the Zeus. That first blood kill set the pace straight away, forcing Twig into an awkward spot, and then the wombo combo from this team. That's a good little bait over the wall there. Dardez, he won't get a lot of credit for this because he don't get a lot of kills, but Dardez had a fantastic game too. But with nulisa just joining this roster now, once again as a full-time member of this team, you can see that she's really starting to play well. And this 1v1, well, 2v1 I should say, because Dardez was there once again to help her out with a fantastic performance as well. Over to the stats here. And you can clearly see the Elevate pretty much controlled it from the outside. 30 kills to 8, 67 assists, just shows how high the kill participation was from the team. And it was a fantastic performance from Elevate to bring that back. Elevate, they've been overlooked a little bit more than usual, you know. They've really been overlooked just lately, and they're starting to show themselves that they could be a little bit stronger than a lot of people expect them to be as well. Round 5th to 6th position, we'll see how they do, but we're going to have to keep an eye on them going forward right now, as it's been very interesting from them. Obey, on the other hand, dropping a game there, that's not what they would like, but they have to respect the fact that Elevate are here to play. Without